Alrighty, and welcome back to the Mother-Daughter Disney podcast. My name is Amanda. I'm here with my lovely mother.
Hi, I'm Janette.
And we just saw about 30 minutes ago the live action Moana movie that came out on July 10th, 2026 is when the movie came out. Yeah, so we just saw we're going to give our review of the live action Moana film. So first, let's just do a little bit of history just in general about the film, and then we'll give our non-spoiler review, and then we'll get a little bit into some spoilers on the film. So, all right, so first up, the first Moana film came out in 2016, and then in April of 2023, Dwayne Johnson confirmed rumors that a live action remake was in the works. So because by 2016, a lot of the other live action remakes had already started coming out at that point. So a lot of people were saying, oh, is Moana ever going to get a live action remake? So it did. So again, 2026, 10 years after the first movie came out, we have the live action now. So Ali Cravalho, the original voice actress for Moana, was named an executive producer, with Thomas Colley being announced as director, and the Moana 2 co-director Dana Ledoux Miller writing the screenplay. I apologize if I said anyone's name incorrectly. Catherine Lagaya was announced in June 2024 as the titular role of Moana herself, alongside some of the other cast such as John Tui, who plays Tui the father, Frankie Adams, who plays her mother, and Rena Owen, who plays her grandmother. Filming started in Atlantic, Georgia in July 2024 under the title Canon, so that was it's a secret name, so to speak, when they were filming it, and it wrapped up in Hawaii in November 2024 under the title Motorheads, which I think is kind of funny.
It's funny.
So, all right, so then Mark Mancina returned as well from the musical score, as well as Lin-Manuel Miranda to write a new song along the way. The new song is only in the post-credit scene. That's the main song in the post-credit scene. And then again, the movie came out on July 10th, 2026. So again, there wasn't a lot else crazy other things going on production-wise that I could find, at least for right now. And because we are still in the movie's box office opening weekend, we don't know how well it's going to do necessarily opening weekend. But all right, so let's do our non-spoiler review. Mom, would you recommend this movie, Mom?
Oh, yes. Well, of course, for me, it was all great because it was all that Hawaiian and tropical and Polynesian and whatever. But I have to say they did a really good job. I think they did a good job with the remake. I think they did a good job with the Polynesian culture. I really liked it. I mean, the music was good, obviously. The scenery was gorgeous. I mean, I think the what was her name? The girl who did Moana? Can never get her name right. Her last name.
The actress?
Yeah, the actress.
Catherine Lagaya.
Yeah, I can never get her last name right. She did a great job. I thought she did it. I think she fit into the role really well.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely like the movie as well a lot too. I thought it was really fun. I would say if you're a big Moana fan, obviously you would want to see this film because I think it's really good in that aspect. So yeah, so again, overall, nothing really too crazy bad to say about it. But now we're going to get into some of our movie differences between the animated film and the live action film. If you're not looking for spoilers, then perhaps,
Right, you don't want to listen to the rest of it. Just go see it. It's really good.
But overall, I did think it was good. So first up to say, the first thing that you will notice about the movie is that it is almost exactly the same as the animated film.
Yes, I thought they followed it really closely.
Especially when you really analyze scene by scene. Some of the scenes are almost exactly shot for shot from the animated film.
Yes.
And it's interesting because there's a lot of mixed reviews on this online because it's one of those things where you can never win, right? Some people are they don't like that it's scene by scene, but then when they change things too much, for instance,
people get annoyed.
Yeah, with Lilo and Stitch, when they change so much with Lilo and Stitch, then everyone no one liked Lilo and Stitch because they changed so much. But then when it's scene by scene, they're like, oh, it's not creatively different at all. What was the point of this film? So it's one of those things, to a certain extent, a filmmaker can never win because everyone's always going to have an opinion. Now, I would say the biggest criticism I saw from this movie was that because it is very scene by scene from the movie, a lot of people were saying, what is the point, I say in quotes, for making the live action film other than it just being for money for the most part? So for instance, there is a legal reason why Disney was remaking a lot of the older films such as Cinderella and Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and Maleficent and everything. And that has to do with the copyright of the films themselves. So of course, when copyright expires after 100 years, it goes into the public domain. So for instance, if Cinderella were to expire and then that original movie would go into the public domain, I say in quotes, in theory, any other filmmaker, any other artist could then take the actual original screenplay of Cinderella and do whatever they would like with it. They could recreate it in their own way. They could manipulate it in other ways, whatever they would want. So in order for Disney to continue to legally own that copyright, they would have to remake that film in their own way that it still hones to the original Cinderella. Okay. So that was one of the original reasons why we started seeing a lot of these live action remakes was for copyright purposes.
I didn't even know that.
And so yeah, it basically just helps Disney ensure that they have the ownership of it. So and that's also why you see a lot of remakes in a general sense with movies. Why it's every 30 years they're like, oh, let's remake this film.
Can they do something else?
I didn't realize that. It's so that whoever owns the original film, whatever, Universal, Disney, whoever it may be, Warner Bros, it's so that they can still retain that copyright over the film and over that specific screenplay or that specific screenwriting. So again, that's why we tend to see see remakes. So because Moana only came out 10 years ago, you can't really argue that because the copyright for Moana would have been years and years away. So it really was just because it was a popular film at the end of the day. That's really why they did it. I think too, they've made a lot of money with other live action remakes. So it's like I guess, you know, so to speak, they figured, well, let's just do it again, right? But because of that, I wonder, because it's only been 10 years, that's why maybe it wasn't transformed as much, was because a lot of the original people who worked on the film worked on the live action. Whereas, for instance, there was Snow White and Cinderella, and you know, some of the other ones that they've done, even Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. A lot of the people who originally worked on it didn't necessarily come back to work on the live action, or again, they had new people come in that transformed the film just a little bit more and make it a little bit different. So I know, just interesting stuff all to say. So again, when you watch some of the YouTube videos and things I found that are like, I say in quotes, movie differences, a lot of them said you're really reaching for like the smallest details to find differences between the animated film.
When I was watching it, I thought it was following it.
When I say smallest details, I mean literally one list said that the flower in the grandmother's hair was on the other side of her head. Are you
serious?
Time. Wow. I kid you not. That was like something that people were saying, like, so the flower is on the other side of the head. Probably just had to do with how they filmed it in the sun, right? So they just flip the flower around. But again, one of the first ones I saw was that a lot of people said Pua isn't really in the movie as much. So if you watch the first one, Pua is a little bit more of a character, I would say, overall. So are the other islanders who live on the island. There's a lot more lines and like little things that they're doing in the background that you see in the animated film. In the live action, they're all really cut down, I would say, a lot. I don't even think Moana really speaks to anyone else in the like any of the other islanders. Like, she interacts with them and she goes up to them in the opening song, but otherwise she has no actual lines with anyone. She doesn't talk to anyone else.
Doesn't have any conversations.
So they're truly just background characters. And again, even Pua too, I think she only interacts with Pua 3 times perhaps. Like, Pua is not really in the film. Now, of course, we know in Moana 2, Pua is a main character, so perhaps if they ever did a live action of Moana 2, we would see more of Pua. So who knows? So the scene where the ocean chooses her is a little bit shorter as well. So again, in the animated film, I'm assuming they do this just because it's probably difficult to do live action. But in the animated film, I mean, like, she was a lot younger. First of all, she's maybe like 2 years old, whereas the actress who plays young Moana was casted at 4 years old. So they made her a little bit older, which I think is fair. And so so because she's only 2 years old in the animated feature, the water is like throwing her around, right? It's like playing through her hair, like doing all this like crazy, wild, fun stuff with her, which would have been a lot harder. Like in the live action, I would say the ocean doesn't really interact with the human characters as much. It's more of like separate, which I imagine is just an easier CGI thing than it was to have the full animated interaction. So, but because of that, so it's just interesting to see that as well. Well, also, again, we're diving deep for differences between these movies. So again, so Moana, the opening scene for the most part is pretty much the same. They do a lot of the same things of, again, building the basket weaving and all the things like that. Obviously, Moana is really attracted to the sea overall. And so then we still have the same scenes as well too, where it is her grandmother who brings her to find where the boats are. Yeah, to find the wayfinding boats. And again, same scene as well too, when she had gone into the ocean, it's kind of ironic how like immediately going across the reef, she like immediately crashes. I was like, even from the first film, I always thought that was kind of funny. It's just like, wow, how immediate do you have to crash your boat and just like kind of give up on the inside?
And I thought the water was, when you first see that the first time, you say to yourself, I thought the water was supposed to protect her.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's supposed to show that it's, it's still dangerous. Like the journey she's going to
the journey she's going on is going to be dangerous.
But anyway, so the grandmother still shows her the boat. She still has the vision, so to speak, of seeing her ancestors and realizing that they were voyagers way back when. So when she comes back out and she's telling her father about the boats, one of the new lines is that when the father does say, you're not the first person that your grandmother has shown the boats to, which I do think is kind of interesting, as well as saying in the animated feature, he threatened to burn the boats, saying like, I should have burned all those boats a long time ago, whereas he doesn't have time to do that because we cut straight to the grandmother being very ill immediately afterwards. So after that, there aren't really many more differences. Again, she finds Maui. They changed some lines around here and there, some like the jokes that they changed.
Yeah, some of it you wouldn't really remember.
Yeah, nothing too wild and crazy, I would say.
Looking at it going, it sounds exactly the same.
Yeah, again, just some of the banter is a little bit different just to reflect more what modern times are, so to speak. I know one of the famous ones that was cut was when Maui, he was writing with hey, 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 and he says like, oh, we could call this like tweeting. But again, 10 years ago, it's like, it was used to be called Twitter. Not technically, it's called X, and it's no longer called tweeting. It's just called posting. So they had to cut that. They had to change the jokes around a little bit.
Some of the language.
They took away some of the jokes where like Moana would have like the one up, like she would say, kind of funny things to Maui, and the little tattoo guy on him would kind of give Moana a point and then Maui no points. They took away a few of those. I realized
they just did 1 point.
Yeah, they just did one for her. But yeah, in the animated feature, they had like 2 or 3, I think. So they took away a few of those. So nothing again too crazy. But again, we still have the whole "You're welcome" scene as well. I thought that scene was really fun. I liked how they did it live action. It kind of reminds me of how how they had to do in The Lion King, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, because in the animated feature that was so over the top and so colorful, and you break away from the savannah, right? And then you're in this like, you know, fake kind of fictional just colors and universes and all these different animals. So same kind of thing with You're Welcome. In the animated feature, you're it's all animated, so you can kind of do whatever you want to a certain extent. Whereas here they sort of had to blend it with some kind of reality. Right. But I still thought it was really fun. I will say I do think the wig for the Maui is wild.
Hey, listen, it looks like it's his hair.
I thought it looked wild.
Yes.
I was just like, this is some wild wig we got going on here. Now I heard rumors that originally they were thinking of not giving Maui hair at all, just to keep, because Dwayne Johnson of course doesn't have hair in real life. So they were thinking, and I think one of the original drawings of Maui, he didn't have hair either, so they thought of just going no hair. But then obviously they chose to put a wig on that man. Have him wear a wig, which I was just like, oh wow, this is fun. We're going full wig in this movie. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about the wig yet, from being quite honest, but the wig was definitely a choice. So I would say one of the scenes that I really loved in it was when we finally got into in Lalotai, so the realm of monsters. So again, so now they're going after Tamatoa, who is the big coconut crab in Lalotai. Yeah. So I do think the way they did that scene, I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes, honestly, was how they crafted that whole scene. Because even in the animated feature, I thought that was really fun, but I think they did it really well where it looks very realistic, like it could be sort of a realm of monsters. Now we don't actually see really any monsters the way we saw in the animated feature. Right. The only person we saw was Tamatoa, but I do like the way they did Tamatoa. Now his design is a little bit different. So for instance, his design and his song was based off David Bowie. So David Bowie had just passed when Lin-Manuel Miranda said he was writing this song. So he was thinking this like pop rock song. What is he going to do? Of course, is going to be inspired by that pop rock type of king. And so Bowie famously had, I forget exactly what the condition is called, but one of his eyes was always dilated a little bit more than the other eye. So for that, in the animated film, you see Tamatoa's eyes, one eye is always dilated versus the other. So for the live action instead, they changed that to just having two different colors instead. So one eye was blue and one eye I think was like greenish yellow.
Right. One of them looked more bloodshot than the other one too.
Yeah, but again, they kept a lot of the same jokes, and I think Tamatoa is just a really fun character in a general sense. I really like Tamatoa. So again, I thought that whole scene was really fun. Again, most things in that wasn't really different. Again, It's like, I feel like it's going to be a quick podcast. Nothing too crazy. It was really different. I actually thought it was more clear in the live action when Moana sees the bioluminescent green sand and she thinks to cover a rock with to trick him. Because I feel like when I watched the animated film, I remember the first time that happened, it like went over my head. Like I didn't really get that that's what she was doing. Where I feel like in the live action, it was very clear that was like the plan. Right. Like she figured it out. She could trick him in that way. So I kind of like that in that sense. So I thought that was good. I do like how easy it is just to get out of that realm of monsters. You just take the little water spout back up and they get out pretty easy, all things considered. And I know the island was slightly different too. The animated feature, the island had like no vegetation or anything. It was just like a rock island. Whereas this one, it looked like a regular island with the entrance there too. So again, we're pulling at strings to get minor differences out of these films. I remember some
of those differences because like I said, every scene seemed like I said, the movie just seemed to be exactly like the animated one.
Yeah, it really was for the most part. They didn't really do a whole lot that was different.
Which I can't complain about because I really liked the animated one. So I really liked the movie.
Yeah, so when they get back out, again, when Maui, he's struggling with using his hook, they still have the half shark, half man, except for this time they did a hammerhead shark instead of a great white shark. No one knows why.
Okay, they wanted a difference.
Perhaps just to do something different and something a bit more fun. So again, I thought that was kind of interesting in that aspect. All right, and then we get into all of our fun action scenes when we finally get to Tafiti's island and we're being attacked by Taka. I think the way that they crafted Taka was great. I loved the way Taka honestly looked. I feel like she looked much scarier and much more serious, like a real threat, I would say, when you're watching her live action versus in the animated feature. And I feel like too is because you really see the scale of how large she is.
How big, right? How large and how much she covers. Right?
Yeah, how large she is and how when she's going after the two of them, like I feel like the stakes are really high in that sense that you kind of feel worried for the characters as they're battling this massive lava person, so to speak. So I really liked that scene overall. I think Taka was great. I feel like Maui wasn't as harsh on Moana afterwards, like when they failed the first time and he leaves. I feel like in the animated feature, I remember when I watched it recently just to rewatch. When I was watching it, I was just like, oh my gosh, Maui's like, you know, he's like a really stern father speaking down type of thing, and then he leaves. And this one, it wasn't as stern. Perhaps they didn't want to portray the actual actor Dwayne Johnson as being a scary person in the film, because I feel like maybe they wanted to soften it just a little bit. So he was definitely stern, but he wasn't angry the way he is, I feel like, in the animated feature. Okay. So again, perhaps just acting differences, again, just translating over, again, not wanting to portray Maui too scary, so that when he does come back, you forgive him immediately, because he does come back, you know? So again, just to say that, but I thought that was interesting. Again, we still have the grandmother. She comes back and she kind of revitalizes Moana too, and Moana's kind of giving up on herself, but realizes that she's actually not ready to give up, that she does want to keep going. She's just feeling a little bit at a loss in the moment.
Just overwhelmed.
Yeah, and again, that's something I've always loved from the first Moana film too, was that when she does feel ready to leave and she's like, I want to give up, I can't do this anymore, the grandmother doesn't say like, no, you got to keep going, you got to keep fighting. She says, if you're ready to go home, I will be with you. Like, that's okay to say that. It's like, if you're not ready to keep going, if you need to take a break, like, there's nothing wrong with doing that. And then Moana realizes, like, actually, but from within me, I do still want to do this. And so she chooses on her own. She doesn't necessarily need the encouragement. Instead, she has the support of her family, not necessarily the encouragement to do things. So I think that's really great. I think that's a great message overall too. And so, of course, then Moana goes back. She's going to do it all on her own. Girl learned wayfinding in a matter of like a week. Good for her. I feel like I would struggle. I don't think I'm made for the sea, if I'm being quite honest. So one thing, I would definitely be seasick.
Oh my God. I don't even want to get on a luxury boat.
That's what I'm saying. She's never even been on a boat before. No, so this is her first time on a boat. Yeah.
She wasn't on a boat. She was on a raft.
Yeah, like, you know, technically I guess it's a canoe to a certain extent, but that's what I'm saying. It's like your first time being on this. I feel like I'd be a little seasick, but again, she was made for this. It's the way for people. So she was made for it. I definitely would not be as strong as Moana, that's for sure. She goes back to fight Te Fiti. Then Maui comes back and he helps her, you know, get past the rock. Of course, then when she gets up to the island, she gets past, she realizes that Taka is Te Fiti and it's just her without her heart. So that is what she had transformed into. And I've always loved that scene from the first one, even in this one. I think it's such a powerful, such a great scene as she returns the heart to Te Fiti, realizing in herself that, it, you know, what was robbed of her, what was taken of her, and how she had transformed, but that was never who she was. It was what people, technically, it was what Maui forced her to become when she lost her heart.
Right.
So, all right. So then, of course, then she returns the heart, and then Te Fiti, she kind of forgives both of them. Maui apologizes. I do feel like his apology could have been more sincere.
But that's not his personality.
I know. I feel like Maui's apology could have been more sincere, but Te Fiti does give her a new hook, or does give him a new hook before then Moana returns home, and then Te Fiti goes back to sleep. It's kind of funny because I love the way that this movie is crafted and really sets up for the second movie, because we didn't even talk about what were those little coconut dudes called? The Kakamora.
Oh yeah, I thought about that as you were going on.
It's funny seeing them here, because again, once in the second film, we learned that the Kakamora are just as, like, they were struggling just as hard as Moana's island was. That's why they left their island, because their island had already died, that they were trapped and stranded on this boat, and the sea captain was just trying to do the same thing Moana was. So seeing them here fighting Moana, I'm just like, no, like, they're not really that bad. It's like
join forces.
It's like they're actually struggling just as hard as you guys, but we just don't know that yet, because that happens in the second Moana movie. But and then basically we kind of get to the end. There is one other scene where we see Tua, Moana's father, on the island as the island is slowly dying away, and he looks very concerned. Again, his mother is basically passing away. His daughter is missing. MIA.
He's looking out at the ocean.
Obviously, he knows that she left, but he doesn't know where she is. And there's a lot of talk. Again, actually, it's a joke I know in Moana too, of like how long the first Moana movie takes place over. I always assumed it was a couple of weeks for the most part, and that's what it still seems here. Maybe like maybe 1 to 2 weeks is what it feels like. Pretty quick, all things considered, since she's crossing the entire ocean. I feel like if you're crossing the ocean in that tiny little raft, or
you don't know how far that other island is. You just know that it's
or again, we do have the ocean helping her. So in theory, you could say, oh, the ocean's pushing her along,
faster.
You know. So we can do that for the fantastical element.
It's all part
overall.
of the ambiance of the movie.
Yes, the fun wayfaring. I also, when you see her island, I know they filmed a lot on location in Hawaii, and it's just so beautiful. Like, it's just so wild to see, to think that people do live in tropical islands. As someone who does not live in a tropical climate, it's like I can't even picture living on a tropical island like that.
And what I was saying, I have to say they did depict the Polynesian lifestyle and the Polynesian culture very well.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like they did it. They did it very well justice with the live action. Of course, the entire cast are all Polynesian cast, you know, people as well too, which I think is great. You can tell too the way they move and certain dances that they're doing are derived from actual Polynesian culture, from either from Hawaiian culture, Samoan culture, which I do think is really great as well. I couldn't find anything about how the languages that they did for this, because I know for
they did talk in a language, right?
Well, no, I know for the animated films, they have, rather than having like a dubbed version of the film or something like that, they would have the full, they would have actors come in and do the whole like theatrical releases of Moana in in Polynesian languages. I don't know if they did that for this film. I couldn't find anything, at least online, but perhaps I'm sure there will be releases of the film in Polynesian languages, especially since
they actually
those
have
are the people who are in
Polynesian
them.
sayings that they do when they're doing the ceremonies.
They do, yeah, which I think is really great.
Right.
And again, I love that it's really a big nod to that culture, and again to a lot of.
If you're gonna do a movie in that culture, then I got to give them credit.
And I know a lot of the actors too said in interviews that was why they wanted to be a part of Moana, since it's a nod to their own culture and something that pays homage to it.
Because there are a lot of movies who say it's going to be about this, and then they don't pay any attention to that.
No, for sure. So again, that's why I feel like Moana is so good. And I feel like that's why there's a lot of heart in the overall movie itself. Coming down from the clothing to how again the baskets that they're weaving, the way that their culture of life and their style of life. I do think it's interesting to see how their hair is always down. As someone who has very long hair, I could not have my hair whipping around the sea like that. I would struggle with my hair whipping around that sea, that's for sure. Now again, we're in the fantastical element
even
of
now
it.
He puts his hair back at one point.
I know, but I would have my hair braided is what I'm saying though. I feel like my hair would be in multiple braids all day long. So it's like to have your hair whipping around the sea, how knotted and matted your hair is going to get. I don't know. Again, in that certain sense is like art. We're just going to the fantasy element of course, both of them
it's all a fantasy because she obviously didn't have any beauty things. She had that one little place that she put some food in and closed up. And that was it. There was no combs, no brushes, no clothes, no nothing, you just have to forget about all that.
I know. Well, again, that was one of the things in the second movie where they did bring, supplies. It was like important to say, we're bringing food.
Right. So, they got smart in the second movie. And
said, here too, we did see her bring some food, but she lost a lot of it when she turned shipwrecked.
Over, right?
And then even later when they eat the banana and she just like throws the
it in
banana.
The thing. And I was like, I don't know if you should be doing that.
Like, what else are we eating on this?
I thought about that
boat?
too when they only ate half of it, then she threw it in the ocean.
I know, because they keep joking about eating hay, but it's like in theory we don't really see them eat anything else. So again, I know in theory when you're watching films, you're not supposed to be thinking about like how we're actually living. You're supposed to be more immersed in the storyline of it. But sometimes you think about that, and I'm like, I couldn't live on bananas. I don't like bananas. That's why I'm not made for this lifestyle. I don't know. I'm not a banana person. Never have been. So yeah, but again, overall, I thought the movie was really fun. I think it's a fun movie.
It's a movie.
I would rewatch it for sure. I would say overall. Yeah. Again, I thought everyone singing was really great. Again, the person who played Tamatoa is the same actor actually as before who did the voice. And so again, is Jermaine Clement is the person who did Tamatoa, and he reprised his roles for all the films, all three technically. So again, I suppose one day we'll see if they decide to do a live action of Moana. So okay, who do you think was your favorite character?
Maui's my favorite character.
Maui.
I love him. I think he's a riot.
Yeah, obviously Moana is my favorite.
I love The Rock too. So Moana is the head thing. I think she did a great job. I mean, no matter what you do, I mean, I really have no criticism of how she did the character, how she sang, how she did anything. And as we know, I go to the movies with the idea of I'm going to the movies to be entertained. This is what it is. It's an escape. You're supposed to forget what goes on around you and go and enjoy the movie. And like I said, everybody's going to have a critique of one thing or another. And like I said, I came out saying it was pretty good. Exactly what I expected because I saw the other animated movie. But it followed it all the way. But I thought it was really good.
So again, we are still currently in the opening weekend of the box office. As of right now, as of filming, it is saying that Moana is not doing well in the box office for its opening weekend. So on a budget of about $250 million, is that what it is? Yeah, $250 million. Opening domestically, it's estimating around $43 million right now, and then about $52 million internationally. So about $95 million global opening, which they said this is much lower in comparison to some of the other Disney live action remakes. Okay. So again, take it out well. That does not mean the movie is going to do poorly. Again, let's not forget, remember Elemental, the Pixar film? Elemental had a really horrible box office opening, but it went on to be one of the most successful, again, theatrical runs.
You can't tell
its
until,
first run. Because sometimes you just never know. Again, with summer hits, I feel like summer hits can really go either way. It could be a huge blockbuster, or again, summer is busy. There's a lot of other good movies that come out in the summer.
A lot of movies.
Yeah, you got a lot of competing films, even with Disney. I mean, like Mandalorian and Grogu and Toy Story 5 just came out. So Moana, live action Moana is competing with Disney's own films right now. A lot of people I know saw Toy Story 5. A lot of people I know saw Mandalorian, as well as, again, there are some other kid movies that are coming out this summer too, not even Disney movies. Right. And then, of course, then you have all the adult movies that are coming out too. So again, I mean, like we were adults who went to it. I think a lot of adults will go see Moana, but a lot of the
there
adults
were a lot of
adult
couples in that theater. When you watch the people that came in, there were some kids, but there was a lot of adult couples at the movie.
Yeah, for sure. So again, I think there's just a lot of competition with the film in a general sense. So I guess we will see. Again, very curious to see how it's going to do overall. So yeah, and then after this film, again, Disney's had so many films in 2026 because then we had Hoppers this year already. We had Mandalorian, Grogu. Then we had Toy Story 5. Now we have Moana. Later this year we'll have Hexed, and then we'll also have whatever the Christmas release is, which I'm blanking on the Christmas release right now. So yeah, so again, a lot of films this year. I feel like sometimes Disney doesn't have this many films come out
and then
in one
sometimes
year.
they have a lot of them. Right.
Yeah, so it just kind of depends, at the end of the day. But all right, do you have any favorite songs from the movie?
The main one. What's it called?
Or How Far I'll Go?
Yes, maybe that's it.
That's the main one.
The main one. The main one that when she sings it, you actually feel it when she's doing it. Like, that she knows that she's going.
Yeah,
and
that one is How Far I'll Go.
I'll Go. That's the one. That's the one that they sing when they do the fireworks, too.
Yes.
Yes, that's it. That's the one.
No, I love that. I've always loved all the songs from Moana for the most part. So my favorite song from the movie is We Know the Way. So I've always loved We Know the Way, that one. And I also do like Shiny a lot, too. I think Shiny is really fun. I thought the new song was also kind of fun.
That was very nice. You said that was the one that was in the credits.
Yes.
I thought that was a very nice song.
So the new song, when you listen to the lyrics of the song, which I was trying to pay attention to, it's singing about how like your ancestors and you, how you blend and you along the way you find yourself and you find where you're gonna go. So that song is performed by both Moana actresses, so the voice actress Ollie and then Catherine as well too. So they're both singing it. So when you hear, it's funny because when you hear them singing together, I'm like, I can't tell them apart. It's really hard. It almost sounds like you can tell it's two people singing with each other.
Yes,
but I couldn't tell you which one is which
Okay.
because that's the whole idea is that you have the ancestors singing with their with Moana, so to speak.
The credits when they're doing it, when they're singing, the shots they're showing you of all the different of the flowers and the boats and the baskets and the things and what they're going through. It's very nice credits. And then once everything started coming up, that's the theater put the lights on right away and said, okay, that's it, it's done. But yes, I thought that whole beginning credit was very nice.
Yeah, wait, so I'm looking up, I'm finding some more stats. So it says Moana was projected, so again, it had a $250 million budget. It was projected for its global opening to earn $130 million, so it only earned $95 million.
Okay.
So it earned less. However, it's still not as low as some of the other ones. So for instance, the live action Dumbo earned $46 million and the live action Snow White earned $42 million. So it's still more than some of the other ones, but it's still less than what they initially, I guess, were pitching it to earn, which makes sense. I actually have not seen the live action Dumbo. It's one of the few Disney movies I have not seen. I probably should watch it one day. I just haven't rewatched Dumbo in a long time.
Yes.
It is a sad movie.
Very
It's also,
sad movie.
it takes place at a circus, and I'm not a big circus person.
I'm not a big circus person.
No offense to the circus.
It's mother and son, and I don't like that.
Well, because I remember when I rewatched the animated film for Dumbo, first of all, Dumbo's very short. It's only an hour, so it's a very short film in general. Yeah, I remember when I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is what the film is? It's like, it's completely different than I remembered what it was. So I can't imagine what the live action is because I feel like it's just more sadness and more darkness.
It's very sad. It's very, very sad. Can't watch it. Don't want to watch it.
It's okay. One day I'm going to rewatch all of the live action
These days
films.
I shy away from sad.
Yeah, I think one day we'll do a ranking of all the live action films, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I think that would maybe be fun.
That'd be tough. Okay.
Yeah, because there aren't that many of them, so it's not as much as
but
our.
that's still going to be tough.
Yeah, it's not. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be posting our rankings of the Pixar films. So that one was a lot. So that's coming on a few weeks from now. But otherwise, our quote for today is, "I am Moana of Motunui. You will board my boat, sail across the sea, and restore the heart of Te Fiti." Of course, said by Moana, the most famous line I feel like from the quote, especially since she says it so much in the movie.
I know, because she kept repeating it to herself to remind her what she was doing.
All right. All right. Do you have a Disney memory for today's podcast?
Oh God, no. I don't. No, I don't have one. The specific memory.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Again, just seeing all the movies in theaters. Again,
Yeah.
I remember seeing it in theaters. I don't remember, I'm assuming we saw it together.
We saw it
10
together.
years
We saw
ago.
both of them together. The animated
together.
both together.
Yeah, I would have been in college at the time, which is wild.
I don't.
so.
I mean, I'm not. We don't go to the movies. Me and Dad don't go to the movies that often. I mean, most of the time we say, okay, when it comes on TV, we'll watch it. So usually the only movies I'm actually seeing on a normal basis are the Disney movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I've always loved Moana. She's one of my favorite princesses in general. Sometimes it's hard to pick the princesses. Before Moana came out, so I've always said Mulan and Cinderella were my two favorite princesses, but I've always loved Rapunzel as well too. And for a long time, Rapunzel was always my solid number 3. Sorry to Rapunzel to say number 3, but now it's hard because now with Moana, it's my number 3 switches between Rapunzel and Moana. So she really did change my perspective of my list of princesses. So it's hard to pick between the two of them.
Yeah.
But again, within my top 4 though, it would definitely be Cinderella, Mulan, Rapunzel, and Moana. But again, sometimes Moana is like number 1 and sometimes she drops to number 4. Kind of depends on the day, depends on the moment. So
my thing is about, because I love all the tropical movies. Just love them. I just love anything to do with Polynesia, tropical, Hawaii, any of that music, any of that culture, any of those flowers. I just look forward to those movies coming out or going to see them because I know that not only am I going to like them because they're Disney movies and they're usually very good, is that I know I'm going to get that feel of that Polynesian. I should have been born in Hawaii.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, as much as I love the being by the water and being by the beach and loving all that stuff, I should have been born in Hawaii.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. Let us know, are you going to see the live action Moana in theaters? Are you going to wait until it comes out on Disney Plus? What did you think of it being very similar to the animated film? Are you one of those that says like, maybe we didn't need this live action, maybe we should have waited a few more years so that it was more fresh and more exciting when the live action came out? Or you're saying it's like, nope, we love Dwayne Johnson. So it's like, love seeing Dwayne Johnson.
Always
just want to see him.
Yes.
So yeah, so definitely let us know, what did you think of the live action Moana film? We'll have a dedicated Instagram post on our Instagram over Janette X. And until then, we'll see you real soon.
Bye-bye.